You know, if you've ever gone looking for natural ways to deal with joint pain, I bet you've stumbled upon turmeric. This golden spice has a reputation that goes way, way back. But today, we're not just going to talk about tradition. We are going to dig into the actual science of how it might bring relief.
So that's the big question, right? Does this ancient remedy really hold up under a modern scientific microscope? Is it a real tool for fighting inflammation, or is it all just, well, hype? To answer that, we have to get really specific.
And this is the first thing you absolutely have to understand. Turmeric and curcumin, they are not the same thing. Turmeric is the spice, the whole root you might have in your kitchen cabinet. Curcumin is the powerful, active molecule that's inside the turmeric. That's the part scientists are actually studying for all its health benefits. And here's the catch. That turmeric root, it only contains about 1 to 6% curcumin. That is a tiny, tiny fraction. To put that in perspective, a whole teaspoon of turmeric powder only gives you a little sprinkle of the actual active compound. This leads us to a pretty big roadblock. Look, adding turmeric to your food is fantastic for flavor and for general wellness, for sure. But you would have to eat a truly massive amount of it to get the kind of concentrated doses that they use in clinical studies. The amount in your curry just isn't going to cut it for those therapeutic effects. So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the golden spices secret. Then we'll tackle what I call the great absorption problem. After that, we'll go inside the inflammation fight to see how it works. And we'll wrap up with the key takeaways for smarter supplementation. Okay, this brings us to the absolute heart of the curcumin story. It's the challenge of actually getting it into your system where it can do some good. This is the great absorption problem. And to get this, we need to know this one term, bioavailability. It sounds technical, but it's a really simple idea. It's just the amount of something that actually gets into your bloodstream and is able to have an effect. If something has low bioavailability, well, most of it just gets wasted. And this, right here, is curcumin's biggest weakness. On its own, it has really, really poor bioavailability. Our bodies just aren't very good at absorbing it. If you take it by itself, pretty much all of it just passes right through your digestive system without ever getting into your circulation. So, this became the big puzzle for scientists to solve. How do you take this amazing anti-inflammatory compound and make it available enough for the body to actually use it? Turns out, the solutions are pretty clever. So science has basically found 3 main keys to unlock this problem. The first one is a compound from black pepper called piperine. The second is simply combining curcumin with healthy fats. And the third involves creating some pretty advanced high-tech supplement formulations. Let's just focus on that first one for a second, because the effect is just staggering. Simply adding piperine, that's the active stuff in black pepper, can boost the absorption of curcumin by up to 2,000%. It's a really amazing example of how nature can work together. And beyond that simple trick, companies have developed their own special versions. You'll see names like Longvita, which claims to boost absorption by about 100 times. Others, like Curcumin and Bioperine, offer big boosts too. This just goes to show how incredibly important the formulation is for making it effective. Okay, so now we know how to actually get curcumin into the body. But what does it do once it gets there? Let's dive into the inflammation fight and take a look at the mechanism. See, inflammation isn't just a random event. It's a process, kind of like a chain reaction. It all starts with a signal, maybe from an injury or stress. That signal then activates a key molecule. This molecule, in turn, tells your cells to start producing a bunch of inflammatory proteins. And the end result of all that is what we feel: pain, swelling, and stiffness. So here's the crucial part. Curcumin works upstream, early in the process. Its main target is a molecule called NF-Kappa B. The best way to think of NF-Kappa B is as the master inflammation switch. When that switch gets flipped on, the whole inflammatory chain reaction kicks off. Curcumin basically helps keep that switch in the off position. And this is totally different from how common pain relievers like Ibuprofen work. NSAIDs work late in the game by blocking enzymes called COX. Curcumin, on the other hand, works earlier by hitting that master switch, NF-Kappa B. So it helps reduce the signal to create those inflammatory proteins in the first place. And this isn't just theory, the research really backs it up. A major review in 2021 looked at 15 different clinical trials. What did it find? It found that curcumin was just as effective and in some cases more effective than NSAIDs for relieving the pain and stiffness from osteoarthritis. That gives some serious scientific weight to all this. So, what does all this science mean for you, practically? If you're thinking about trying a curcumin supplement, what should you actually be looking for on the label? All right, here's a quick checklist. Number 1, and this is the most important, it has to have an enhanced absorption formula. Look for piperine, biopurine, or one of those other patented forms. Second, check that it says standardized to 95% curcuminoids. That just means you're getting a potent, concentrated extract, not just ground up turmeric. Third, it's always a good idea to look for brands that are third-party tested for purity so you know you're not getting heavy metals or fillers. And finally, the effective doses in most studies range from about 500 to 2,000 milligrams a day.
Now, it's really important to know it's not without some risks. Curcumin can act as a mild blood thinner, so you've got to be careful if you're on medications like aspirin or warfarin. It's also high in something called oxalates, which can be a problem for people prone to kidney stones. High doses can sometimes cause an upset stomach too. And of course, the most important thing of all, always talk to your doctor or pharmacist before you start any new supplement.
And this is a point I really want you to take home. The science is promising, absolutely, but curcumin is a helpful tool. It is not a cure-all. It can't replace the real foundations of health, things like good sleep, a healthy diet, regular exercise, and managing stress. A supplement can support that foundation, but it can't build it for you.
So we'll end on this thought. Curcumin is such a great example of modern science taking an ancient remedy and figuring out how to make it work even better. And as researchers keep unlocking the potential of these kinds of natural compounds, it really makes you wonder, what's next in the future for managing chronic inflammation?